Fellow TechMasters, we'll talk a little bit today about TechMaster officer roles. And as you all know, we have 7 roles in order. We have President, Vice President of Education, Membership, Public Relations, we have our Treasurer, our Secretary, and our Sergeant at Arms. This is actually the official ToastMaster international hierarchy. So in theory, when the President is out, it falls down the pecking order. Hopefully somebody's here to run the meeting. But I want to talk a little bit today about some myths and some misconceptions that I think follow these roles. Of these 7 roles, I have done 5 in this club. I think that makes me the broadest experienced Toastmaster enrolled in this club. It's not a big deal, but you will be getting my perspective, and I don't just totally make this stuff up. I do actually have a reason for this. One of the things that I hear a lot of with people is, I would like to help lead the club. I would like to join the leadership team, but I'm not sure that I have the time to commit to doing it. So I would like to talk a little bit about the attributes of some of these roles and where the main activity is. We have 2 basic scenarios. We have inside the meeting and outside the meeting. Inside the meeting is primarily the President, Vice President of Membership, the Secretary, and the Sergeant at Arms. These are in-meeting roles, which means week to week to week, if you would like to take on one of these roles, you have to think that you can actually attend the meeting. You can get here on time, because all of these are basically early roles. Be on time or early. Most of your commitment is in the meeting. Not all of it, but most. On the other hand, we have outside the meeting. Now, you may have noticed that it's not that I am math challenged and have forgotten how to count. The President actually shows up on both lists. The President of the club is the focal point for the club. All things in terms of outside of our little universe here generally pop into the President's sphere. It's a big coordination role, anything that's wrong with the district. So there's a little more coordination that goes on both inside the meeting, you have to run the meeting, and it's a coordination job. But if you are not able to be in this room, let's say 3 out of 4 or 7 out of 8 weeks in a row, you can still serve on leadership with these second tier, or not second tier, but a little lower activity in meeting roles, because Vice President of Education, what's that? Schedule. A lot of schedule. If you never actually show up, which would be bad for you, but if you never actually show up, you can actually be the Vice President of Education and still be participating or contributing to the club, even if you can't be here on a regular basis. Let's talk a little bit about our Secretary. The one role that we struggle with in this club, and the one role that seems never to get the love, is the Secretary role. I'm not exactly sure why that is the case. It's a role that has a really bad rap. These are the responsibilities week to week for the Secretary. Primarily, your job is to record the activity, the important activity of the club. Not every little minute thing, but the important things. The business meeting, you have to catch the motions, the seconds, when we vote, did it pass or fail? That's the essence of that role. If you want to catch announcements and other sort of things, that's great. Business meetings critical. And then just noting for the rest of the roles, who did what, who was here, who missed the role, things like that. When you have officer meetings, take notes of the officer meetings, send those out. And occasionally, really occasionally, this last point, club documents. We actually had a situation, which we have not had since we chartered, this year, in this cycle, where ToastMasters International was changing some of the terms of the charters. And they said, hey, you have to make sure and go in and just confirm that everything is right. actually had to go in, and it turns out a couple of our documents were incorrect on the ToastMaster International website. A couple of our terms of, we had something like 6-month officer terms, which is incorrect, 12 months. Really minor things. That was cool. That's it. Would anybody like to take a wild guess how long this takes to do outside of the meeting?
Depending upon how you do it, 0.
No, it takes more than 0, because I do, well, record things, and as you guys know, I get the
email.
I send out the email. So how long does it take to do that outside
You could be
the
done, so you just hit enter.
That would be one way to do it, if you actually were typing it live in the meeting. That's one way to do it. 15 minutes? I'm a big guess. 7 minutes. And if I type faster and I could read my chicken scratch a little faster, it would be less. And if I actually did it online, which I don't usually do here because I don't know if you guys know this, but when your internet connection's on over here, there's people that are probing and hacking systems. Say somebody was trying to jump in, I checked on my Windows system on it. Somebody was actually trying to subvert the system a couple of weeks ago. I do everything on a sheet of paper, transfer that very quickly to an email, pick it up, out it goes. What are the benefits of the secretary role? 2 things that really strike me. One is developing active listening skills. It is important when you are in meetings. I have often been in awe of people who take great meeting notes in meetings. I've been working for a long time to try to develop those skills. The secretary role helps you develop those skills because you are listening and you're jotting down the important points, not all the silly stuff, the important points. Fantastically helpful in real business. The other thing is the multitasking, to be able to jot down those points while you are listening. Some of us who are of the male persuasion and have that single-threaded brain that we have, that's something to work on. Some of us that are perhaps not of the male persuasion have a little better time of doing more than one thing at once. Maybe that's not a huge plus for you, but for a guy, that's a big plus for me. I will tell you, having served in several roles, you get more out of ToastMaster leadership than you put into it. And if you lean into the role and embrace it, you will get a lot more out of it. It's really not a hard thing to do. The club does not run itself. I know a lot of people in this room today actually served on leadership and are going to be serving as leadership. That's fantastic. You have an opportunity